Across the world there are cities that should not exist, temples beneath the waves, streets swallowed by the sea, and statues sleeping in green water, as if the ocean itself wanted to keep their secrets. Why do so many stories of lost cities appear across history? And what do the ruins beneath our oceans actually tell us about the rise and fall of civilization? This is Enigma Obscura. For as long as people have lived beside the water, they have told stories of cities claimed by the sea. Sailors returning to harbour spoke of ghostly walls glimpsed beneath their boats. Fishermen said that on calm days you could see the tops of towers below the waves. Entire epics and myths, from the flood of Mesopotamia to the drowned island of Atlantis, are shaped by the idea that the ocean remembers what humanity forgets. And for centuries these were only stories. That changed when divers began to bring back proof. Underwater photographs revealed avenues, shrines, and statues where no city should be. Suddenly, legend had stone beneath it. Begin with the simple truth. Shorelines move. At the end of the last great ice age, seas rose by many tens of meters as glaciers melted. A bay that was dry land for a village could become an inlet within only a few generations. Rivers deposit silt that compacts and sinks, pulling deltas downward. Volcanic fields inhale and exhale, raising land and then letting it fall. And earthquakes, sometimes followed by tsunamis, can rewrite the coastline in the space of a single afternoon. Human settlements, however clever, cannot keep up with the patience of water. One of the clearest examples lies just off the coast of northern Egypt, the city of Thonis Heracleion. For centuries it was a name preserved only in scraps of writing, a port where foreign ships paid their duties before entering the Nile. Then in the year 2000, archaeologists traced outlines beneath the shallow water of Abukir Bay. They found colossal statues of kings, shrines to long-forgotten gods, and a stone tablet carved with both names of the city, Egyptian and Greek. What they uncovered was not the aftermath of one sudden disaster, but a slow story of subsiding ground, trembling earth, and repeated floods. Century after century, the foundations weakened, until the sea pressed the city flat and preserved it like a pressed flower between the pages of history. Travel west across the Mediterranean and you reach Pavlopetri in southern Greece. Here the seabed reveals an entire grid of streets and courtyards, still clear to the eye after thousands of years. Archaeologists date its origins to the early Bronze Age. Earthquakes and slow land subsidence dragged it below the waves, but the layout remains startlingly modern. Pavlopetri looks less like a mythic ruin and more like a small town suddenly interrupted. You can trace front doors, small squares and alleyways, a reminder that the sea does not only swallow empires, it also swallows ordinary neighbourhoods. Continue farther east and you find Atlit Yam off the coast of Israel, a village from the Neolithic era. Here, stone circles and house foundations rest beneath only a few meters of water. A well still stands where families once drew their daily water. When people lived here, the shoreline was farther away and the sea was lower. Over centuries, the ocean crept inland and the villagers were forced to leave. Unlike some sites, Atlit Yam was not destroyed in a moment of violence. It was erased slowly, patiently, tide by tide. The sea here was not a conqueror, but a quiet visitor that never left. Now turn north to Italy, and to a Roman resort that sank in a more unusual way. Baiae was a playground for emperors, filled with marble villas, baths fed by volcanic springs and elaborate mosaics. The ground itself, however, was restless. It rose and fell through a volcanic process called bradyseism. Over centuries, entire sections of the city were lowered into the water. Today, divers drift across mosaic floors where senators once gossiped and swim past staircases that fish now use as their own paths. Baiae shows how even the heart of empire could be undone, not by war, but by the quiet breath of the earth. Return once more to Egypt, to the harbour of Alexandria. Just offshore, toppled columns and massive blocks lie scattered on the seabed. Many scholars connect these ruins with the old royal quarter, perhaps even the palaces of Cleopatra herself. In antiquity, earthquakes struck this coast, and a tsunami followed, breaking and pulling great structures into the bay. On calm days, if the water is clear, you can still glimpse the outlines of streets where royal processions once marched, now crossed by schools of fish. Alexandria reminds us that a single day of violence from the earth can erase the glory of centuries. Travel farther east to India and to the city of Dwarka, where land and legend meet in tangled ways. Ancient texts describe a sacred city founded by the god Krishna, a city said to have been reclaimed by the sea after his death. In modern times, divers have identified stone structures near the coast of Gujarat, some clearly historical and others debated. Some believe they are remnants of the ancient capital described in scripture. Others argue they are later constructions, medieval or even more recent. The truth may be layered, for coastlines in this region have shifted repeatedly over time. Whether or not the sacred city of Dwarka ever stood here, the seabed holds memories of settlements that were real and human. In the far western Pacific lies perhaps the most debated site of all, near the island of Yonaguni in Japan. Beneath the waves, a series of terraces and steps drop away in neat right angles. Divers claim they are the remains of a monument or pyramid built thousands of years ago. Geologists counter that the formations are natural sandstone, which fractures into blocky shapes when broken. To this day, the site remains contested. Yonaguni reminds us that not every mystery leads to a lost civilization, and that sometimes the human eye sees design where nature has been at work. How do we separate truth from illusion? The answer lies in the patience of science. Underwater archaeology uses sonar to scan the seabed, divers to confirm what machines detect, and photogrammetry to build three-dimensional models. Sediment cores tell us when floods came and when calm years stretched across centuries. Ancient coins, texts, and inscriptions provide dates and context. A single clue can mislead. But when many lines of evidence meet in the same place, a clear story emerges. The myths, too, deserve a place at the table, though handled with care. Flood stories appear in cultures from every continent. Some may record the slow memory of rising seas after the Ice Age. Others may describe specific disasters, tsunamis or storm surges. Myths are not blueprints, but they are signals. When a people says, "The sea took our ancestors home," that is not only poetry, it is data preserved in the language of story. Some drownings were sudden. In the Caribbean, the port of Port Royal collapsed into the sea during an earthquake in the 17th century. It is not ancient, but it proves how fragile even a thriving harbour can be. The Mediterranean has similar accounts of coastal cities shattered by quakes and waves. The point is that water can take centuries to claim a city, or it can take it before the sun has set. When you step back from the details, a pattern becomes clear. The ocean is not an enemy. It is a partner that brings wealth, trade, and food, but it is also unpredictable. Harbours give power, yet rivers wander, deltas sink, and seas rise with patience or with fury. The miracle is not that cities drowned. The miracle is that people kept rebuilding, sometimes on the very same spot, as if to say, "We will live with the ocean whatever the cost." What makes these stories powerful is not just the scale of temples or statues, it is the small traces left behind. A child's toy, a comb, a ring worn smooth. These artifacts remind us that beneath the sea are not only palaces but homes. They speak of lives that were interrupted but not forgotten. The sea took the walls, but it left the fingerprints. And there are limits we must accept. Not every sonar rectangle is a temple. Not every right angle is a lost city. Some ruins are modern, others are simply natural formations. Honest research marks what is certain and what is speculation. That honesty does not kill wonder. It preserves it, because it tells us where the real mysteries still remain. So why do stories of sunken cities endure? Because coasts rise and fall, because memory outlasts stone, and because knowing that a city can vanish forces us to look at our own with new eyes. The ocean is not only a highway, not only a hazard, it is also a vast archive. It does not hold grudges, it holds histories. Thank you for watching Enigma Obscura. If this stirred something, share which coast you call home, and whether your family carries stories of the sea changing the land. And join me next time as we follow a clue from an ancient map and see whether a coastline drawn in ink can match one seen from space.